Morning, Mark. I was watching the sunrise through my window this morning, and it just reminded me how these quiet moments can ground us for whatever the day brings.
And that's exactly what we hope to do here on Blue Mountain Morning. I'm Mark, joined as always by my friend Alex, and it's Wednesday, January 22nd.
The steam from my morning coffee actually reminds me of what we're covering today, particularly those intense winds in California. We've got some important stories to break down.
Yeah, from presidential pardons to wildfires, but don't worry, we'll help you find that calm center in the midst of it all, just like that peaceful morning moment.
That's what Blue Mountain Morning is all about, finding clarity in the chaos. Let's dive in.
Let's start with some significant news from President Trump, who's made waves by announcing pardons and commutations through executive orders for all January 6th defendants, including those convicted of violent offenses.
Yeah, this is pretty major. The pardons cover a range of individuals who were involved in attacks against police officers, and it's already creating quite a stir. And speaking of serious situations, we've got to talk about what's happening on the West Coast. California is bracing for some really dangerous conditions right now.
Oh man, yeah. The Weather Service is warning about vicious winds that could reach up to 70 miles per hour in some areas. And with the dry conditions we've been seeing, California has to brace for new fires.
The fire risk is just through the roof, isn't it? I mean, these aren't your typical winter conditions.
Not at all. Fire departments across the state are on high alert, especially in areas that haven't seen significant rainfall. They're particularly concerned about Southern California, where these winds could potentially turn any spark into a major fire event.
And you know what makes this especially concerning? They're still grappling with the initial major fires, which aren't fully contained.
Right. And when you combine these unusually strong winds with the existing drought conditions, well, it's creating what fire officials are calling a perfect storm scenario. Alex, looking at these pardons more deeply, they really highlight just how significant presidential pardon powers are in our system.
I've been thinking about that too. It's like this power has been part of our democracy since day one, right?
Exactly. The founders actually built it into Article 2 of the Constitution, and it's kind of fascinating how it's been used throughout history. I mean, George Washington used it to pardon people after the Whiskey Rebellion.
Oh yeah, and Lincoln's pardons during the Civil War were pretty significant too.
You know what's really interesting, though? These January 6th pardons are different because, well, they're connected to events that directly involved attempts to overturn an election.
And that's creating some completely new territory for legal scholars to navigate, isn't it?
It really is. Like, we're seeing debates now about whether this might set a precedent for future presidents to pardon people involved in political violence. Which is pretty concerning when you think about it.
And I imagine this could affect how future presidents might use their pardon power too.
Absolutely. Traditionally, pardons were often used for things like showing mercy or correcting miscarriages of justice. But this feels like it's shifting that whole dynamic.
And there's this ripple effect on public trust too, right? I mean, when such a powerful tool gets used in such a politically charged way.
Yeah, it really tests the boundaries of these constitutional powers we've relied on for centuries. And honestly, it might lead to some serious conversations about whether we need to reform how presidential pardons work.
With all this intense news lately, I've been thinking about how Americans throughout history have found ways to stay grounded during really challenging times.
That's such a good point. Like, I was reading about Eleanor Roosevelt's radio addresses during World War II, where she just talked to people, helped them find calm in the middle of global chaos.
Yeah, and she'd always emphasize focusing on what we can actually control, right?
Exactly. And you know what? Those same principles still work today. Like, when things feel overwhelming, it helps to focus on our immediate community, our daily routines.
I've noticed that works for me too. Like, this morning I took a walk in my neighborhood instead of immediately checking the news, and it really helped set a different tone for the day.
That's so smart. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, people were literally building bomb shelters, but many Americans found strength in just maintaining their normal lives, staying connected to their communities.
And I think that's really what it comes down to, right? Like, finding those small moments of peace, even when the bigger picture feels uncertain.
Yeah, and something I find really powerful is remembering that every major challenge in American history, the Civil War, the Great Depression, 9/11, people found ways to not just survive, but to support each other.
That's true. And it's kind of amazing how often the solution was just showing up for each other, staying engaged in our communities, right?
Absolutely. Even something as simple as having coffee with a neighbor or volunteering at a local food bank can help us feel more anchored, more connected to what really matters. I've been watching these news reports about the California wildfires, and it reminds me of something pretty remarkable about nature out there.
What's that?
Well, there are these incredible plants, like the giant sequoias, that actually need fire as part of their life cycle. Their seeds literally won't open without it.
That's kind of beautiful, actually. Like nature built in its own renewal system.
Exactly. And it's not just the sequoias. The whole California landscape has evolved to be incredibly resilient. After every fire season, you'll see these brilliant wildflowers pushing through the ash.
So you're saying that even destruction can lead to new growth?
Yeah, and you know what? I think there's something really profound in that for all of us. Like sometimes when things feel really tough or overwhelming.
Nature's basically showing us that renewal is just part of the cycle?
Exactly. These landscapes have been going through this dance of challenge and renewal for thousands of years. And somehow, knowing that makes our own daily challenges feel a bit more manageable.
Like we're part of something bigger.
Right? And just like those California hills will bloom again after these fires pass, we too have this amazing capacity to adapt and renew ourselves.
You know, friends, as we wrap up today's Blue Mountain Morning, I can't help but feel grounded. Like we've really made sense of some pretty big moments together.
Yeah, and isn't that what mornings are for? Just taking a breath and finding our bearings before the day really kicks in.
Tomorrow we'll be back with more stories that matter, more moments of clarity, and hopefully maybe even a little more wisdom from nature.
Ha! And remember, whether you're just starting your day or heading into it, you've got this incredible capacity for renewal, just like those California wildflowers we talked about.
Thanks for sharing this morning with us. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, where the view is always clearer from up here on Blue Mountain Morning.
Take care, everyone.